You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, General Hospital fans. This is Soap Dirt on YouTube. We've got something exciting for you today. We've got a whole week of recaps. These are the General Hospital recaps for June 19th through 23rd, 2023. If you missed a day, heck, if you missed the whole week, we have got everything you need to know to catch you up and get you ready to watch next week's episodes. Before we dig in, if you haven't already, please reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our GH spoilers, casting news, promos, predictions, and more. All right, on Monday, June 19th on General Hospital, the nanny showed up at the house as Ava was trying to look around for some information for cousin Mason. And she doesn't find anything, and she talks to Austin and says that she needs to get into Sonny's office, but she accidentally left a drawer slightly askew, and that might be a problem if the nanny mentions it to Sonny. Plus, we're going to see Nina trying to confess to Sonny, but then little Leo interrupts. He's very upset about what's going on with Ned. Ned says he's Eddie Main, and he's a very angry version of Eddie Main, which is not an Eddie that I remember from back in the day. And Maura Spencer asks Jordan Ashford to be acting mayor while she has gone to Chechnya. Meanwhile, Zeke Robinson tells his sister Portia about Curtis kissing his ex, and she goes to confront Curtis. Then Tuesday, June 20th, TJ and Molly want to harvest some eggs, and so they head over to the hospital, but things are not going to go their way. Plus, Carly begs Drew Cain to not do this plea deal, and she spends some time talking to Sonny about it. And then Ava and Nina walk in on them and are surprised to see her there, but they step outside, and Ava tells an enraged Nina that it's best if Carly isn't jailed, and Nina's just up in the air that Drew is going to go down for Carly's crime when she turned everything over to the SEC, basically hoping to punish Carly, and now she's accidentally punished Drew. Plus, Drew talks to Sam McCall, basically telling her about the plea deal, and he'll only be gone for 6 months. And she is furious, and she thinks Carly should be the one to pay. And she says by doing this, he's making Scout pay instead of Carly when Carly committed the crime. Not a happy camper. Plus, Liz Weber gives Portia some advice about Curtis, and then Portia goes to confront Jordan. But before Portia gets there, Jordan hires Marcus Taggart to replace her as interim police chief as long as she can get it past the city council or whoever is going to decide. All right, Wednesday, June 21st, Curtis confesses about kissing Jordan to a very angry Trina, who says that the only person who was ever faithful in these relationships was her dad, Marcus Taggart. She tells them to work it out. She's very mad. Then we have a Jordan versus Portia confrontation, and Jordan is trying to be nice about this, and she keeps telling her, you weren't even with him at the time we kissed, and Jordan finally pushes it back on her and says, if you had told him the truth when I told you to tell him the truth, none of this would be happening, and Jordan is right about that. Meanwhile, Molly finds out she has no good eggs to harvest. She's very upset. So upset that she asked TJ to put the baby making plans on hold, and TJ isn't too happy but finally agrees. Spinelli and Cody confronted Gladys, and they tell her that her fitness tracker had proved that she was in the room where the bracelet was put into his pocket, but Gladys lets them talk, and she is going to shoot this down completely. Before that scene, we had Gladys smack talking Cody in front of Sasha, and then Sasha went off on her. Plus, Lucy and Maxie discuss Cody's crush on Sasha, and Sasha overhears. Thursday, June 22nd, 2023, Gladys shoves it back in Cody and Spinelli's face because she says she didn't even take her phone that night because it wouldn't fit in her teeny tiny purse, so their ruse that they were working falls apart. But then Selena Wu shows up and orders Gladys to clean up this mess and get all the charges against Cody dropped or else. She's not happy, but Selena tells her to make it happen. The bottom line is also that she still owes Selena a lot of money, and we're going to see more on that this week. And Selena also destroys the microphone that Spinelli had given to Sam to record the conversation. Meanwhile, Sasha talks to her friends and says she's not sure that she's ready to move forward after Brando, and she and Maxie do some talking about grief because, of course, Maxie also lost a husband. Michael is grateful to Drew for taking the fall for Carly, but the judge is not buying it, and the judge instead slaps Drew with a 3-year sentence to Pentonville. That is hard time. Meanwhile, Alexis advises Tracy Quartermaine to calm down and just let Ned be Eddie for now, and says maybe it will resolve itself. All right, as the week winds up in Port Charles, it's Friday, June 23rd. And again, we saw more of Drew in court. He gets to 3 years hard time. Carly starts raging in court, and the judge threatens to put her in contempt. And he wants Drew hauled out of the courtroom and directly to Pentonville without even time to change out of his suit. But Zeke Robinson, his lawyer, convinces him that Drew is not a flight risk, and can he please give him some time to wrap up loose ends? And the judge agrees to a week. Tracy, meanwhile, rages at Alexis and Gregory Chase. She's really worked up about everything, and it's ugly. Greg stepped in because she was being nasty to Alexis, who he considers a friend. And, Alexis has to just explain to him that this is just Tracy being Tracy. We've been like this for a very long time. And then she confesses that a long time ago she had a thing with Ned. Meanwhile, Ned/Eddie is all worked up, and the nurse has to sedate him. He wakes up later and he asks to be taken out of the hospital. He asks this to BLQ and Chase. They won't do it. And so he later takes himself out of the hospital, and he shows up at the Savoy. Meanwhile, after the verdict comes down, Carly hugs Drew. He is completely shell-shocked, but he is still the one doing all the work to reassure her everything's going to be okay. Then he tells her he's planning to sell Aurora Media because Carly still owes a hefty fine to the SEC. Agreeing to pay the fine is how she has avoided criminal charges. She's mad and says she doesn't want him to sell the business because that's a legacy to Scout. And he's like, Scout doesn't know anything about a legacy. And they leave to spend his last week of freedom together. Meanwhile, Lucy and Martin are getting romantic at the MetroCourt rooftop, and they both tell Sasha that they will never get married. But then when he walks away from the table, Lucy tells Sasha that she was hoping by saying that she didn't want to get married that he would want to marry her. She really wants a ring, but it turns out that Marty is getting what looks like alimony. It looks like he's getting $50,000 a month, and he says that that's why he can't ever get married again. And then he ignores a call from ex-wife number 3. Also, Kevin Collins advises Tracy and Olivia to just give Ned peace and quiet and just let him process this. And he says that some of this stress might be why he is avoiding being his true self. And then we see Tracy suggesting maybe we just to hit Ned on the head again and he'll straighten out. And that makes people really mad, but Kevin suggests therapy instead. Meanwhile, BLQ comes out and says Ned wants to go to Las Vegas. Over at the Savoy, Nina and Sonny are there, and Dex and Joss come in, and Joss and Sonny step aside to talk, and Nina and Dex talk, and he basically tells her, as long as you're important to Sonny, you'll be important to me, and I'll watch out for you. And Joss and Sonny try to kind of talk calmly about peace, and she apologizes for asking him to fire her boyfriend. And then Michael comes in and he tells them about the verdict. Nina is completely shocked and says, that's not how it was supposed to happen. And they're like, what? And she just says, oh, I just mean that the plea deal wasn't supposed to work out that way. And she kind of covers up for it. So there's something huge in the last couple of seconds of Friday's episode, and we'll tell you about that in just a second. But if you haven't already, please reach down and click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our General Hospital videos and updates. And so we told you that Ned escaped from the hospital. He shows up at the Savoy, and he's he's staring directly at Nina, and it looks like, oh, maybe he's remembering, maybe she's busted, but because in the promo for next week is him coming up saying, you're exactly the person that I'm looking for. I am 100% certain it is a case of mistaken identity because he is brain-addled and he is going to think that she is somebody else entirely. We'll find out on Monday.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.